Welcome to CyberCEO, wherein we talk about how our cyberbackers helped our cyber CEOs take their businesses to the next level. CyberCEO is powered by Cyberbacker, the world's leading provider of admin support services from anywhere in the world to anyone in the world. Please visit our website www.cyberbacker.com for more details. All right, another awesome day here at Cyberbacker. My name is Jello. We're back with another episode of CyberCEO. And of course, we have very special guests on the show right now. Ray, Flamur, how are you guys doing today?
Living the dream as always.
We're very well, thanks, Jello.
All right, perfect. Now, we're very excited to get this interview with the both of you. So let's get the show on the road. To let you know, we have a lot of listeners who are also business owners just like you. So I need your help. Can you introduce yourself to our audience, maybe starting off with what are your roles in the business?
Well, my name is 𝗙𝗹𝗶𝗹. I'm the team leader and agent here at 𝗙𝗲𝗋𝗋. And with my partner Ray next to me, we co-founded the NJ Dream Team. I focus primarily with investors and commercial, and I'll let Ray introduce himself.
And I'm Ray. I handle all the residential sales. I'm the vice president of residential real estate sales. So I handle that, and I handle the operations, overseeing the admin staff as well as the agents.
Okay. Now, how long have you both been in the real estate business? A lot.
I got my start in 2011. Funny story. I always wanted to get in the real estate business, and then I was in community college, and a buddy of mine also wanted to get into real estate, and we had a 2-week break for our winter break. And while everyone was out, with rest and relaxation, we both worked full-time jobs, and we said, hey, we're only working 40 hours a week. Let's go spend the next 2 weeks and do 80 hours worth of real estate training. So we went to real estate school from 9 to 5, and then from 5:30 to midnight, 2 o'clock in the morning, we go to our regular jobs, and we did that. We did that for 2 weeks straight, and got my real estate license. And yeah, the rest is history from there.
So how many hours of sleep is that, though?
I don't think sleep existed. I drank a lot of tea, got a lot of caffeine in me, and I ran on pure adrenaline.
How about you, Flamur? How many years of experience?
So similar to Ray, I got my license back in 2004, right out of high school. So I used it to help pay my way through college. Took some time away from the business, did a couple different things, worked in accounting, finance, owned my own restaurant even. And then my heart and calling always came back to real estate. So a few years ago, I started investing with my family. And eventually I decided to get back into the game because I couldn't really find an agent that understood investors and investments, and started doing my own deals, and eventually blossomed to a full-time career helping clients buy, sell, and invest.
Gosh, so between the both of you, there's a lot of experience already when it comes to real estate. Now, I'm also curious, how did you learn about Cyberbacker? Did you see us on social media? Did someone refer you to us?
Well, I was looking to leverage myself because I was at capacity for a few years, and I prided myself on knowing how to do the entire process from start to finish. So anything I get involved in, even if I don't plan on doing each specific job of an investment or a company or industry, I want to learn how to do it to have an appreciation for that role. So I was doing my own transactions from day one, and still on the commercial side do that. And I was looking to leverage. I looked at a couple different virtual assistants as well as having a local assistant. And I just never pulled the trigger. I was always concerned that I wouldn't have enough business on myself to kind of keep that person busy. And then when I teamed up with my illustrious partner, Ray here, he came from a very big team, and I'll let him go into detail about that. But we needed help from day one. So we had a local person. And then when that local person went, was helping us, was great, was trained. She went on maternity leave, and at the same time, her husband serving in the military, they got stationed halfway across the globe. So even though she was working part-time, that would be enough to not be able to. We gave her plenty of time to have the baby, be with the baby in the early time. We both come from pretty sizable families, so family time is important here at the Dream Team. But we knew that we needed to have a secondary person to assist in the off hours and for certain tasks that, one, we needed to be doing that we weren't doing regularly, and two, things that we were doing that were important and crucial that they were done, but they didn't necessarily need to be done by us first. So I was looking at a couple different companies, and I think, Ray, you were the one who told me about Cyberbacker. forget where you heard of them.
Did a whole lot of internet research all over the place, but mostly focused on social media. Him and I are both very big on testimonials, personal testimonials, and we're part of Keller Williams Realty, and we're part of an organization, KWYP, so Keller Williams Young Professionals Group. And that's where I go to for the unfiltered answers to questions of what do you think of this and who have you used before? Stumbled across Cyberbacker, which was actually presented at one of our conferences. And then I asked a couple people about it. Few people knew about it, and a few had used it, and some were brand new on it. And they said, we're just getting started, but it's so far so good. So we agreed with negotiation with the sales team and Cyberbacker, because I know any organization I join, I know within the first 30 or 60 days whether it's going to be a good fit or it's not a good fit. When I've used so many different lead sources on my old team, and we've used so many different platforms that we knew within 2 to 4 weeks, I knew, okay, this has potential or definitely lacks some areas. So we said, we'll give it 3 months and give it a go. During the speed interview process, it was a very big change for us because it was just rapid fire. They were like, they're like, hey, we have these candidates ready to go. And we're like, all right, great. We want these 3. And they're like, oh, well, that was 12 hours ago. That those 2 have been hired. We got some other ones. And one of them, Renzi, I'd say she blew it out of the water. And there was one other candidate that was real top notch for us. But once we interviewed with them, Renzi went above and beyond. She even created additional material that wasn't asked for. And that's kind of our personalities. Like, we like to see, like, you're going above and beyond. We interviewed her, hired her, and within 3 months, she was just, every day, she's ready to go. Like, what can I do? What can I do? What can I do? Always looking for work. The first couple months, we prepped her that there's going to be a learning curve, because we hadn't had a virtual assistant before. So we didn't know what to give her and what not to give her. So we just kind of fed her little things. She was really patient with us, because there would be some days when like only about a quarter of her day is filled with tasks that need to be done. And then we're like, hey, these things need to be done in the next 3 months. I'm like, this needs to be done in the next week or 2. And she's like, all right, great. And then she'd fill her day with the things that need to be done 2 weeks from now. So we kept pulling in things that, so she's 2 weeks ahead and then 2 weeks ahead. So we keep pulling in more and more and more. And then as we got, we saw that she was really efficient. We started unloading some of the tasks that we were doing day to day, where I was doing this, putting people in a CRM, making spreadsheets that are on my to-do list for weeks or months that I'm like, hey, I really want this to get organized. I'm like, hey, can you do this spreadsheet? Hey, can you do this? Hey, can you do that? And she'd do it. And, she'd get 80 or 90% of what we needed it to be. And we'd give her oftentimes very little direction. We'd say, hey, we want this thing. And then she'd come back and we're like, it's not quite what we want. Here's what we're missing. And that's partially on our part. We didn't give her 100% solid direction step by step. We just said, here's the ball, run with it, get us to the 10, get us to the end zone. But she'd get us to the 10-yard line and she'd be like, all right, what's the next play? And I'm like, all right, we're running this play. We'll do this, this, and this. And boom, she'd take it in the end zone.
So basically, she's almost everywhere then. Almost everywhere in the business.
Yeah, bless her heart, because she takes and does it with a smile on her face.
And she's just like Ray said, she's always great about following up with us when we forget to give her tasks. And she's like, "Hey guys, do you need anything?" She'll reach out to us directly via email or text, and then she'll update us. I think it's a Cyberbacker policy to give us like a daily update of what she's accomplished or what she'll work on for the next day. And like Ray said, any task we've given her, she'll definitely let us know her limitations or where she needs help to get trained on. But she's never said no, and she's always willing to kind of go above and beyond, which we loved about her from day one. And actually, we hired her as an administrative kind of assistant to help work on certain tasks and help us with the transactions. And we found out she used to have, I think before Cyberbacker, her own online store. So she had a specialization in social media, which neither Ray or I were really good at. So she was able to kind of create flyers, post for us. And she kind of took that over, even created her own Instagram page and really assisted with that. So she went above and beyond.
Gosh, so started with admin tasks. Now she's also helping out with social media. Did I hear that right?
That's right. Yep.
Gosh. Now, she always has her best foot forward and always asking for more, very proactive then. Now, You already talked about some of the things that she's currently doing with the business. Now, I'm also curious about what is your growth plan for Renzi? What are some of the new things that you're planning to have her do in the future for the business?
Great question. It's a lot of administrative tasks right now behind the scenes. We've been introducing her more and more slowly to our contracts and our transaction processing, which is what Flamur had mentioned before. We had our other admin is handling all of that, but we're introducing her to some of that paperwork process as well. So it eventually would like her to be proficient in that process. So that way, if our other admin has to go on maternity leave or anything, or just to work with her side by side, we'd like to have enough business where I'm using, every time we write something new or do something different to the paperwork, we take like a 5 or 10 minute recap after the fact. I'll say, hey, just put these things in these lines. Just write it exactly like this. And I'll say, do you understand what this means? And she'll say yes or no, or she'll say maybe, kind of. And I'll say, all right, well, later on today or the next couple of days, we'll do a recap and I'll explain what it is. Like the other day, I explained the different types of mortgages to her, and she's highly intelligent. Once I break it down for her, she really kind of picks up on it. And with real estate, everything is, you learn a little bit. Like I'll throw a bunch of stuff at you. Any human being is going to retain, 40 to 70% of it. You're not going to retain it all in one shot. It's just too much. But she's been great at that. So that's our next growth plan for her, is to get her more involved with that. And the more she takes off our plate, the more we can go out and generate more business.
Yes, again, taking that 80% from you just so you can focus on the 20%, right?
Mm-hmm.
The things that really matter the most to the business, which is creating relationships, especially in real estate, right? Now, next question is, of course, in every partnership, there could be challenges, right? There could be growth opportunities, areas that we can improve. So what are these growth opportunities that you've had working with Cyberbacker?
Growth opportunities would definitely, I would say, on the back end, more hands-on training. Because like I said, she was not familiar with a lot of our contracts and our specific state laws, because real estate in the U.S., it's state specific. The laws in Florida can be entirely different than Carolina, different than California, different than New Jersey. And that's not even including the standard practices. So laws differ entirely. And so the practices, I would say a little more hands-on training with that, because I think she was given video tutorials and there's only so much you can understand. It's a very intricate business and New Jersey's got a lot of laws. So definitely more hands-on training there. But she got a good foundation, and we had to spend, our Cyberbacker salesman said we'd be good. She'd be ready to go. We wouldn't have to do anything. But, it's not my first rodeo either. So I took that with a grain of salt. I was like, I knew we'd have to do some hands-on training with her because, he's not in New Jersey. He's not in Atlantic County. He doesn't know the standard practices. And there's no way, unless you guys are based out of here, that you would know everything that needs to be known. So that would be my suggestion.
All right, so more training when it comes to contracts then. But aside from that, no other challenges then?
Just the training in general, a little more hands-on training, because like I said, I think it was a lot of video tutorials. So maybe a couple more meetings with the head cyberbackers or the senior cyberbacker team. Just to get at the beginning, she wasn't entirely comfortable with asking us questions and telling us she didn't understand something 100%, because we're really easygoing guys and we're just like, tell us if something you don't understand. And as she got to know us, she got way more comfortable asking it, but she didn't want to say, I have no idea what this means, because I throw a complicated real estate term at her just because I was busy and not thinking like this is her third day in real estate, So she'd be like, oh, sure, I'll get it done. But I'm like, I did not give her enough information for her to really be proficient at that. So
yeah, I mean, we do have a lot of specific systems here locally that probably aren't used nationwide. So depending on where your other clients are, that your cyberbackers might have not been familiarized with that. Because I know, for example, the one difference I think at Cyberbacker is that they have a lot of support. Each individual cyberbacker that you're assigned has a head backer and a training backer. We actually started writing down all the different backers because we started getting confused. Different backers that were out there. There was a legal backer, I think, at one time, and So it's great that you're not just kind of given a person and you're on your own. They rely on the Cyberbacker organization to support them and back that up. And so possibly even being able to give, I would think, the head backers that train them ability to reach out to us directly and help them assure that we're all on the same page. But otherwise, it's been great overall.
All right. Now, no big challenges, just aside from that hands-on training then when it comes to the contracts. All right. Now, one last question for the both of you. As I mentioned earlier, we have a lot of listeners who are also business owners. So I need your help. What piece of advice would you be able to give them when they're partnering with their very own cyberbacker?
Probably the two pieces of advice I would say is kind of create a job description, like duties, responsibilities, specific tasks that you absolutely need done that either you're not doing currently or that you are doing that you shouldn't be doing. So I went to a training a while back and it said, create a not to do list, right? Things that you're not supposed to be doing.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe they're important or maybe they're urgent, but they're not both. So they're not things you need to be handled personally. And you really should be siloed. So, a social media person may not be good at administrative tasks. So I think we really lucked out with Renzi that she's able to do both. I think it kind of harkens back to Cyberbacker's training and generally the culture in the Philippines, because every candidate that we interviewed seemed to have multiple professions or jobs in different industries. So I think it's that kind of hard work culture where they're willing to kind of get up and try anything and work hard to support their families, which we really, really love. But the only other piece of advice I would say, anybody who's on the fence about doing it is do it. It's so many things can be done remotely. If you're in a type of industry like real estate, where a lot of it's done online, writing up contracts, putting up social media, creating marketing materials. And a lot of that is kind of, you have to reach for the best talent across the world, and it's done at a much better cost point than hiring somebody locally. There's nothing against hiring local staff for having that in-person knowledge, and certain things have to be done in person, like opening a door to allow somebody property, but being able to kind of distinguish that task from all the other tasks and all the different hats we wear.
So basically creating a give up list then to make sure that you know what you're going to give to your cyberbacker once you are partnered with them. Is that right?
Exactly.
100%. And I would say take a week or two. I'll reiterate that not to do list. Take a week or two of things as you're doing those things. Jot that down on your list. I don't need to do this, but it needs to get done, and put that on the list, and then pass it off to the cyberbacker. 100% will make your life so much easier.
And I think a lot of things, like we work so hard and we put a lot of hours in for our clients, so it's hard to sit down and prep. So Renzi's been doing a lot of things about getting our things in order, like creating a centralized database for our clients where I'll have client lists in my phone, in my email, a couple different databases. Ray's a lot better about that, keeping it organized than I am. But we'll put together a list for our client appreciation event coming up, and she'll help us organize it. Like, okay, where's this person's email? I pulled information from all these contracts you had. Is this correct still? And kind of stopping you from what you're doing and being able to sit down and focus and be able to work on those important tasks that may not necessarily be urgent. So the urgent tasks tend to kind of take over most of our days. And I think the other important part is sometimes you need to hire that person and then give them the responsibilities, and the job will evolve over time. Just like Gary Keller said, like you need that person sometimes to watch what you're doing and be able to systematize in order to create a process that you're already doing naturally, and be able to create something that anyone else in the organization can follow. And that's what we've been focusing on lately. We're creating a transaction process in Trello that once we scale and hire more agents on the team, then anybody in the team can follow, and every client gets the same customer service regardless.
I'll add one more thing. For those business owners, there are some business owners who delegate very well and some who want to have control over everything. My piece of advice would be to relinquish some of that control. And I have trouble with that every now and again. But what I've learned to do is to give that task that I don't necessarily need to do. If it's going to take me 30 or 45 minutes, I relinquish that to Renzi. And then instead of it taking me 45 minutes to do, I say, let me know when it's done. And then instead of 45 minutes, I take 10 minutes to review it and correct it if need be. And if I correct it, I go back to her and I say, hey, these are the things that need to be changed in the future. So when I have 3, 4, 5 of those, that's 3 or 4 hours out of my day. Well, now she's done a good portion of it. Now that 4 hours has taken down to 45 minutes to an hour of me just reviewing it instead of doing the whole thing. Because sometimes it's hard, it's hard to let go when you're like, oh, it's going to take them 45 minutes to an hour. I could just do it in 30. Well, yeah, it'll take them 45 minutes to an hour until they do it enough. And then they get proficient at it, and they'll do it in 30 minutes. And then you'll review it in 5 or 10, you'll be good to go. So I'd say delegation and learning, especially if you're new to being a business owner or haven't hired a lot of staff, learning to be able to delegate is huge. It's crucial.
I think when it comes to delegating the tasks as well, I think the trust factor is there too, which is what you build through time with your Cyberbacker, right?
Absolutely.
Yes. Now, I forgot to tell you guys that your Cyberbacker, Renzi, is listening to us right now. Would you want to give her a quick shout out or any message you'd like to give out on the show to her?
Great. You're doing a great job.
We appreciate it, Renzi.
Absolutely.
Now get back to work.
We are very, very excited to see where this partnership would be in the next few months and, of course, the years to come. Guys, thank you very much for being on the show today.
Thanks, 𝗙𝗲𝗹𝗶. Really appreciate it.
Thank you for listening to our daily dose of CyberCEO. Stay tuned to know more about how Cyberbacker creates a difference in this digital time and age. You can visit our website www.cyberbacker.com and follow our social media pages on Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, YouTube, and Spotify.